And welcome back to Probable Cause Christianity. If you haven't been here before, I guess not welcome back, it's welcome. Basically, Probable Cause Christianity is dedicated to giving you the truth and understanding of what's God's Word in Scripture to the best of my ability. We'll go with that. So today, I've been going over Revelations. Took a long break. The break is now over and I'm getting back into it, so I'm going to have some more videos and stuff that I'm doing now. And starting out today, last video I made on Revelations was Revelation 6. It was the first and second horsemen. This is Revelation 6 also. We're going to be going over the third and the fourth horseman. So kind of getting into that a little bit and talking to you about what's going on. So, without further ado, we will get into it. Okay, so Revelation 6, the four horsemen. Alright. So let's see what it says. Revelation 6, 5, and 6. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard a third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Balances are scales. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." Okay, so in the actual Greek, this is translated. Okay, so if you look in the King James Version, it says a denarius, not a penny, but it's the same thing. Just so you know, if you're following along or whatever, and don't quite see something changed or whatever, a denarius is equal to about what a penny is today. So it's saying that they can get a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. All right. So does that sound like a pretty good deal? Yeah, it kind of does. Kind of does until you understand what a denarius was used for, right? All right. So first off, let's get into famine. All right. So, black is often connected with famine. So you're talking about he was on a black horse, right? So in Lamentations, it talks about eating bread by weight. Eating bread by weight is actually a Jewish expression, or it was a Jewish expression, that indicated that food was very scarce. So if you look in Lamentations 4 through 8, 5, 10, Jeremiah 14, 1 and 2, there's Ezekiel 4, 10, 11, 16, Leviticus, which is this here, 26, 25 through 33, it talks about eating it by weight. So here, and I'm going to kind of skim through it a little bit, basically are talking about vengeance. So right at 26 it says, "When I have cut off your supply of bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in the oven." Okay, in one oven. So when it talks about the 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, it means there's one oven and there's for every 10 women. So it's not a lot of bread going on. "And they shall bring back your bread by weight, and you shall eat and not be satisfied." Okay, so where it says bring back your bread by weight, that's basically, they're talking about how, what am I trying to say? Bread is scarce, okay? Food is scarce. It's talking about an actual famine that's going on, and so when you're looking at the Revelations, all right. So getting back to it. All right, so food is expensive and it's scarce. Okay, tronex, a Greek dry measure, almost equal to 1 quart, mentioned in the New Testament only in Revelation 6:6. Okay, where they revised the revised version, a margin, where it says a margin of wheat or a measure of wheat, would read chinex instead of the indefinite translation of measure. Okay, the verse, it's obviously talking about the threat of famine. Okay, if you've ever read Homer's Odyssey, which, yeah, some people have, some people haven't. If you know what Homer's Odyssey is, it says that this was the amount, this chinex was the amount that each soldier was given to eat in Xerxes' army. Okay, and if anybody knows anything about Xerxes, he was not a nice leader. He was not a great guy. Basically, he gave each soldier this much to eat each day, just so they could stay alive and have the strength to fight. Okay, so basically they were fighting slaves. They fought for food every day, just enough to eat and stay alive. So it's not much. All right, so what you can see here, a penny, denarius is a penny. So in Matthew 22, he agreed to pay them a denarius for a day and sent them into the vineyard. And then in 29, the workers who were hired about 5 in the afternoon came and each received a denarius. So just kind of giving you an idea what a denarius is. It isn't very much. So you can see that a penny or a denarius was what was paid for the day's wages. Most Roman soldiers, they were also paid this. In those days, though, a denarius, it could buy quite a bit. All right. What's a day's wage today? Well, I'm just making this up because I don't know. Minimum wage. Let's just say it's $7.25. I actually think that's how much it was when I was a kid, but I don't know. Anyway, $7.25. So during an 8-hour shift, you make $58, right? Around about $58. Now, if you could just imagine paying $58 for a quart of wheat, okay? That doesn't buy a lot, $58, but you also have to remember that there's taxes, all right? So yes, even back then there was taxes. There was a lot of taxes that had to be paid and everything. And basically, that's what they're saying a denarius would buy in the end times. 1 penny, a day's wage, a quart of wheat, and it's just not much to eat at all. So let's talk about the oil and the wine. In the biblical times, the oil and the wine, they were actually equal to toiletries or pleasantries or whatever. It's not just liquor, but it was like beauty supplies and such. It was what is described as luxuries of the time. So it says, do not harm the oil and the wine. But you cannot live on those things. They're toiletries and makeup and specialty things that it doesn't matter at those times, okay? So we're going through a famine, so it doesn't really matter if the oil and wine is there or not. All right, so famine. This is the beginning of the starvation of many. Okay, death is at the door. Anyone not prepared for these times will suffer. And I'm going to tell you right now, when these times come, and they will come, and as we see right now, we're having all kinds of economic problems, things going on with the coronavirus and places being shut down. We're in an economical decline. The president's doing what he can. He was doing really good with the economy and everything, and then this coronavirus come in and just shut everything down. And you guys saw what happened when all this started to happen. I mean, people were going crazy. We were going to, and it wasn't even that big of a deal at that time, but people were still losing their minds, and they were running out and buying up as much, water and food and toilet paper. Do not harm the oil and the wine, right? The luxuries, toilet paper. Why were they buying up toilet paper anyway? Still haven't figured that one out. But you saw what was going on when we had this little economic burp, Okay, I'm not saying it ain't big deal. It is a big deal, but it can get a lot worse. And when it does get a lot worse, that's when we're going to have a lot more issues. So, yeah, basically, you can see the economy crashing, and you can see how easily it would affect our food supply and people. So, all right. So moving on, Revelations 6. Okay, we'll go with 7 and 8. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard a voice say, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So it's kind of an interesting deal here, because it talks about the fourth horse coming out, and he was death, and it said hell falls with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth. Okay, so I believe that when it says them, and maybe it's pretty obvious to people, but I don't think it wasn't obvious to me when I first read this the first several times. But it's talking about the second, third, and fourth horsemen. It says, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. So it doesn't talk about the first horseman. So I believe that, the power was given to those three by the first horseman. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here. But anyway, so basically the last horseman is death. All right, the Greek word for it is chloros. Chloros is like a pale greenish color, but the word from which we get chlorine. All right, but in Leviticus, it's the color of leprosy. So in Leviticus, if you read through there when they're talking about leprosy, the chloros is the color of the leprosy. Okay, so during this time, after these four horsemen, many people will die in this time. Some by the sword, some with hunger, etc. But it talks about the beasts, right? So when it talks about the beasts killing people, is Fido going to turn on you in the middle of the night and go for your throat, or exactly what is it talking about? I don't think so. I see it a little differently. So what about viruses? We got the coronavirus right now that's been going on. Many viruses have come, including today, that are possibly or most likely from animals. They could be. This could be the danger of the wild beast. I mean, we don't know, but it talks about it. But if you've never thought about it that way, you ought to, because all these diseases and stuff, the bird flu, the H1N1, the HIV, I mean, all these different ones. So let's just talk about a few of them, okay? So, animal to human disease, okay? Like I said, the coronavirus that's going on now, possibility it came from a bat, maybe not, I don't know. But if you read here, diseases that can be transmitted between humans and animals, such as the bird flu, tuberculosis, it can wreak havoc on the health of both organisms. All right. Now, researchers have found 13 so-called zoonoses that are responsible for 2.2 million human deaths every year, and rising. That is a lot of people that are dying from these type of diseases, right? So we do know that bats carry rabies quite often, and that's deadly if it's not treated. But you also have things like the swine flu. You have, a pig caused the 1918 flu pandemic on this one. What about the Ebola virus? The Ebola virus, according to the World Health Organization, was thought to have originated from fruit bats. Okay, HIV. This is something that was spread to humans by a primate, and we still have no cure for this. It's just, these are things that are a total possibility in the end times or any time. Okay, so when you think about someone being killed by an animal, it's just not the big scary ones that you may need to watch out for. Okay, it's not always going to be a bear or a lion or a wolf attack or something big old scary animal or whatever that comes out and just tears you to pieces. I mean, it could be something like that. Yeah, that's right. This little fellow, he could do you in. I don't know how, but I'm just saying these things could happen. All right. So back to the four horsemen. So what we see through these seals is basically it's a progression of circumstances in the first four seals bringing forth the four horsemen. All right. You have the Antichrist, which begins wars in the final 3.5 years, especially against Christians and Christian groups who are, at that time, will be labeled rebels, just like back in the Roman days and stuff. People will be hunting them and so on and so forth. Probably will be outlawing Christianity and making us like I said, the rebellious ones against their government. Then after the Antichrist and the wars, this will lead to famine. Okay, so after wars and stuff, you have a progression. You have famine, then you have starvation and a global economic fall. Then death will come, last to many, and in many different ways, like it says here. This is what Jesus describes in Matthew 24 as the beginning of sorrows. All right, this is the ushering in of the last days and the final judgment of God. And do you notice, you look around, do you notice anything going on like this today? Don't be blind and do not forget to look for the seasons. Because when Jesus talks about the seasons, and he knows that you can know the end time is coming through the seasons, and this is something that's pretty important to keep an eye out for. We've got so much stuff going on today, and it's just it's just crazy out there. Okay, 10 years ago, the stuff that's going on now, wouldn't even imagined it would be going on. I mean, I started reading Revelations and studying through it and everything, and I started seeing, this stuff's supposed to happen, and it is happening. So don't be fooled. And don't let your guard down. I keep going back to Peter when Peter said, these are not the times to relax. They're not the times to let your guard down. These are not the times to fall away from God. These are times to embrace God as a Christian. And I understand that this stuff is scary. I mean, it is. It can be. But there's so many things as a Christian that you need to understand that these are not times to be afraid. They should be exciting times for Christians. I'm excited. I want to get this ball rolling. I'm ready. I'm ready for the revelations. I'm ready for this to start. I'm ready for the new kingdom. It's just it's exciting. And if you're a true Christian and you're a believing Christian, you shouldn't be afraid. I mean, that's why a lot of people in churches, or a lot of churches, they don't teach about Revelation. Why? Because it's scary, right? Because the stuff that they talk about is scary. Yes, it is very scary for non-believers. But for Christians, you got to understand, this is a message of hope that Jesus has put out. This is a message of understanding for us. So don't be scared, all right? As we continue to go through this, I'm going to go into it more and more. I think probably what I'm going to start doing is kind of going through the different chapters and talking about different issues and stuff that's going on, and maybe not so much going from one chapter to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. So, but anyway, so other than that, I appreciate you guys watching my video. I appreciate, you know, if you give me a like or a thumbs up or whatever on my YouTube channel. And one other thing, I don't know if many people know or not, but I do have a book out. All right. So if you want to know, this is basically my apologetic book. It's a pretty short read, like 170 pages or something like that. I mean, it's a good read. I've got a lot of people, I'm not just saying it because it's mine. I mean, it is, but I've had a lot of people tell me that they really liked it and read through it pretty fast, including people that don't even really like to read. They told me that, but they really enjoyed this book. So you can get this on Amazon. It also comes on Amazon Kindle in the electronic form, or you can get the paperback. I appreciate it if you go there and look it up and get the book and read through it, and then let me know what you think. So anyway, that was my plug for the book. I appreciate everybody who watched the video today, and we will see you soon. God bless.